Mitty has always been a home to me. My mom was the first in my family to become a monarch, and soon after, many of her cousins followed in her steps. I am number 10, and now my little sister, Amelia, a junior, continues the legacy. My grandmother also worked in the attendance office for 30 years, which really made Mitty feel like a home to me because I had a close family member on campus. And then there were also those chosen family members, the AMHS faculty and staff that I found comfort in seeing around campus as I went about my day. Family photo albums display 2-year-old me in the foyer posing with the art classes replicas of the then newly released animated movie Toy Story. I even had my 5th birthday party in what was the cafeteria where Kincaid stands today. I vividly remember getting an autographed birthday card in middle school from the varsity basketball team before the start of their game that featured an underclassman's signature, Danielle Robinson. Though I had such a close connection to the Mitty community, I was not immune to the disheartening feeling of not always belonging. Mrs. Hilton shared her own experience, feeling like she was sitting on the outside, watching and waiting for the invitation. I grew up knowing how wonderful Mrs. Hilton is, as she took dance classes in middle school with my mom and grew up with my family when she was a Mitty student. I too sat on the outside, unsure of where I could go. I played 3 sports during my time at Mitty, and teammates would tell me I did not belong because I was not the right race. My peers would make comments that the tanness of my skin was only desirable in the summertime, and how lucky I am that I don't have to pay for it. Despite being an MVP goalie, earning a division championship banner in another sport, I still felt the pressure of having to prove my worth and that I deserved to play with my teammates. Whether it's because I'm a woman, it's the color of my skin, or even being criticized by mentors that I identified with for not speaking Spanish fluently, I felt hopeless as a student, waiting for my chance to feel at home. Even now, having coached the badminton team to multiple division championships, CCS, and NorCal finals, at times I can still feel like I have to prove to others that I belong. Fortunately, as a student, I went on to find places of comfort on campus. I found a home in being the first mentee group for the Romero program with Mr. Rojo. My peers and I would pile into his office, which is now the speech and debate office, and take a moment to breathe and unpack the pressures and burdens of those who told us we were not welcome. Mrs. Slevin cultivated a home for me, with her support and comfort during my mom's battle with cancer. Not shying away from this hardship, she assured me that God would be there to keep my mom safe and comfort me and my family in our time of need. Mr. Sampson built a home for me and my peers as he would read us children's stories, reminding us of the simple messages and true joys of life. He also made it a home when we would celebrate the gift of each other on our birthdays. He put our favorite candy bar with a single lit candle stuck to it on our desk and blast Stevie Wonder's Happy Birthday as we walked in. Ricardo and John have cultivated a home as they continue to cheer on our athletic teams, being the first to congratulate us as we board the bus on our victories and providing words of encouragement after those tough losses. Scott Zimmerman has cultivated a home on campus by caring for all and creating a space on campus for all of us to heal, both mentally and physically. Coach Nico and Coach Monson built a home for our team to be responsible leaders, instilling values in me that I continue to use in my own coaching style today. I am truly grateful to work alongside all of you as we continue to open our home to these students. For me, home is a place of peace, comfort, and love. There is protection and security. Though we may have a home address, sometimes our home is not an actual place, but it's with people. As Advent scriptures remind us, Joseph and Mary were in search of a place to give birth to baby Jesus. Though there was no room at the inn, they made a home in the stable, a place of peace and love to comfort those they loved. By simply being together, they were home. Now, if you know my sister, you know her obsession with Marvel, and I will take full responsibility as I introduced her to the Marvel universe during the pandemic. However, there is a particular quote in Thor Ragnarok in which Odin tells Thor that Asgard is not a place, it's a people. When I first saw that scene, I immediately thought of Mitty. As I shared, my grandma worked here for 30 years, and wherever we went, whether it be a quick errand or even out on a family vacation, we would somehow run into someone from Mitty who stopped to say hello or saw an AMHS bumper sticker or license plate. It always made the world feel a little smaller, but also a little more familiar. Similar to Mr. Yockey, when I was given the opportunity to take over the badminton program, I said yes. When Mr. Walker asked me to join the student activities department, I said yes. I said yes to accepting the mission of being the person I would have wanted when I was a student. I worked at various elementary schools in the diocese, and the little ones I remember spending the afternoons in extended care with, coloring, dancing, and playing, are not so little anymore as they sit here in this crowd today. I used to tell Ava, Malia, Lillian, Kelly, and Joe Anthony that one day we would all be back together on this campus, and here we are. Students are often told that they carry a legacy of monarchs, and it's true. I remember as a student competing against Mr. Albert, Coach G, Miss Wyman, and Mr. Wedlow in Spirit Week and Monarch Madness. I remember those late night practices with Miss Johnston and going on ECJ California with Mr. HC. We too, as faculty and staff members now, have a legacy to carry. A legacy of teachers who impacted us as monarchs. Being back on campus, I have been inspired to cultivate a home of my own, with the passion of Mrs. Mack, the courage of Miss Bernoulli, the optimism of Dr. McKnight, and the compassion and love for helping others like Mr. Corbell. A piece of them resides within me as I continue to cultivate my own home on campus. What I love about my own home is that it's filled with decorations at the holidays, photos of friends and family, a place where memories are made, good company is kept, people to share the highs and lows of the day with, and of course my favorite, food. I feel more at home when I decorate my office for the holidays, look at the photos of my family, the badminton team, and championship memorabilia. I feel at home when I see Javi and Brianna every morning in my office, discussing life with Ari as we drink hot cocoa in our mugs, and catching up with the third period badminton crew. Kevin, Aaron, and Terrence always give me a reason to smile and laugh. If you have ever played badminton for me, you know how much I stress the importance of mental training. I have built the program off of a mantra, synergy. We as individuals can win a match, singles, doubles, mixed doubles, but together, when working as a team, can have a greater effect, something much larger than when we are apart. Similar to Doc's legendary Celtics team embodying Ubuntu, a philosophy of I am because we are, we embody synergy. I have a painting in my office that one of my athletes made for me and how she envisions synergy. She says that it's a certain peace and knowledge that I am skilled enough and strong enough to overcome my opponents. It reminds me of the importance of teamwork and how success is bigger than just myself. I was in awe of how one word could fill a person with so much purpose. This year's theme of home gives that to you. That purpose to build, just as this year's seniors dress as construction workers for their senior dress-up day, taking on the task of continuing what those have built before and paving the way for the future. We all have a part in making this world a better place and making Mitty our home. We can spend more time here than in our actual places of residency. I'd like to share a story from Chop Wood, Carry Water, a book that I often refer to when doing mental training with the team, and recently with Student Gov. There was a famous architect in Tokyo named Koda, who built some of the finest houses. He was dedicated to his work and devoted to being extremely detailed throughout the process. However, as time went on, he was ready to retire. When he turned in his 2 weeks' notice, his boss thanked him for his incredible work, but needed him for one last job. He asked him to build a house that needed his magic touch. After speaking with his family, Koda reluctantly agreed that this would be the final one. Having to cancel 2 trips and putting the next phase of his life on hold, Koda took on this final project as more of an obligation rather than an opportunity. He was known for being diligent throughout the process, and made sure each detail was hand-selected with the finest materials. But this time was different. He let others make the selections, and although the house was up to code, it did not have the wow factor he was famous for. Coda knew this was not his best work, but he was ready to retire, as the next phase of his life was much more appealing and important to him than the present. Once the house was complete, Coda's boss thanked him again and said, "We have just one more thing." Irritated because he wanted to retire, Coda assumed he was going to have to build another house. Instead, his boss gave him a small box with a red ribbon on it. His boss expressed his immense gratitude and, as a token of his appreciation, had this gift for him. Upon opening it, Coda found a shiny new set of keys. "The house is yours," his boss proclaimed. All along, Coda had been building his own home. If he knew, he would have cared and been more present in the process. If he knew, he would have given it his all as he once did, but now it was too late. The author, Joshua Metcalf, shares that the only thing that is truly significant about today or any other day is who you become in the process. Each of us are building our own house. Sometimes you might think you are building for your school, your family, or your team, but you are always building your own house. I was you. Just one kid in a sea of monarchs listening to these adults who seemingly have the world figured out and imparting their wisdom upon us in these monthly assemblies. I wondered if I would ever be able to get there, if I could ever make a difference here. Well, although I do not have the entire world figured out, I stand before you today to share my story, to share my home. I invite you to take the risk in expanding your own, to be a caring friend, a loving family member, a supportive teammate, a dedicated student. So monarchs, take some time to thank those who have cultivated a home for you on campus, and let's make the moments worthwhile as we move forward into this last half of the year, and I hope you build your home wisely. Thank you.